Hello, and welcome to another Empty Wallets video. Jeez Louise. This is my first time doing an intro. You guys know that, right? Hello, and welcome to another Age of Empty Wallets. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. Shut up. All right, good intro. First time. Hello, and welcome to another Empty Wallets video. Hi, and welcome to another Empty Wallets video. My name is Philip. I'm here with Cameron from A House of Hobbies.
Yes, A House of Hobbies.
A House. I had to ask specifically, is it House of Hobbies or A House of Hobbies? He is here with us today to do another army spotlight. We're going to be talking about Soulblight Gravelords.
Yeah, it's all about them vampires.
Vampires. So, to be honest, I have a lot of friends who play Soulblight Gravelords, but I have not played or seen anybody play Soulblight Gravelords since about a year ago when you showed up to our little tiny tournament, having just placed 4th at LVO and just rolled us. Everybody there got absolutely decimated. So I know they've had a new book since then. So I'm really excited to kind of talk with you about what they look like now, because I just have this like dread in the back of my head that I'm just preparing to hear about.
No more wolves, please.
Yeah, dude, no more wolves.
No, it's all about the dogs.
Is the dogs now? Oh, no. So run me through kind of like high level at the beginning. What are some of Soulblight Gravelords' just big army traits or like mechanics that they have for people to be aware of?
So, Soulblight Gravelords are all about mostly, I'd say, 2 things. One is just having an endless pool of health that just keeps on healing and healing, and you just want to get rid of it but never can. And the other one is just being able to debuff or annoy your opponent so they can't do anything, and so you can get all of your tactics going.
So a death army.
Yes.
It is a quintessential death army.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Are there any... Go into those mechanics a little bit. What kind of debuffs are we looking at here? What kind of mechanics allow you to bring stuff back? Are those army-wide? Are those unit-specific?
So the biggest thing about Soulblight Gravelords is that it comes down to mostly what dynasty you pick up. It's their sub-factions.
Okay, well, let's do that then. Let's go into the sub-factions.
Yeah, it's their biggest thing. And there's 5 sub-factions, and each one of them plays with another mechanic-wise. It has a specialty that they go through.
Okay.
Like one of the biggest ones that you see, especially in competitive, is the Veer Coast Dynasty.
Yes.
It's all about your having your summonable units, having pretty much a horde of little guys out there, and then being able to
never die.
Keep them out there, and then specializing in smaller heroes than anything else.
So like, would you bring like a bunch of small heroes and then, or like just 1 or 2 small heroes and then a lot of units?
Yeah, because they specialize in keeping their summonable people, their like zombies, direwolves, skeletons, all of them alive, and being able to just pump out more and more and more. And so you'd have smaller heroes that are based off of just buffing this pack right here, or being able to have like a corpse cart to make sure that these zombies that normally wouldn't be able to do much, now they're throwing mortals at you hand over fist.
Don't they explode when they die now or something?
Yeah, you
stupid?
Kill them, you take damage. You don't kill them, you take damage. Did it kill you? There's more of them.
There's more. Oh my goodness, that sounds great. Super fun and engaging for the person on the other side of the table.
just sitting down looking at 160 zombies and just saying, how am I going to chew through that?
Jeez, yeah. So it's like playing against Christopher when he plays Grots, except they don't come back. Well, they do, but not as bad.
Oh yeah.
So that's the Veer Coast Dynasty.
Yes, and then the other big one out there is the Legion of Blood.
Okay.
And the biggest one is that focuses on having your big vampires, and it's are you in combat? You get buffs for your vampires. Are you not in combat? All right, we're better spellcasters. And then it comes down to them being able to buff their artifacts and command traits to be able to make things that people are like, I don't know how to fight that.
Okay. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Like the biggest thing that you'll always see is, will come down to artifacts. They have an artifact that allows someone to, whoever holds it, to become a ghost. They're ethereal now. No saves, no penalties.
Oh my goodness. Just a ghost.
Yep, just whatever you want. So you put that on like a big giant dragon with a vampire on it. And now you have a dragon that heals whenever he fights, flying through the field, and your red means nothing.
Oh, okay.
All right, what are you going to do against that?
Nothing. You can do nothing.
Exactly. And now, hey, look, everything's about buffing that really big vampire.
Got it. And that's the was that subfaction again?
That is the Legion of Blood.
Legion of Blood. Okay.
And then, yeah, there's a whole bunch of legions.
I'm sure there's a bunch of them. Yeah, it's because there's every different vampiric dynasty. I'm sure there's How much lore is there for Soulblight Gravelords?
Oh, there's some. Every single sub-faction has a specific lord that they come. They're all from a dynasty. Like Legion of Blood is from Neferata, one of the main Mortarchs of Nagash and all that.
Yep.
Virkos is from Belladonna, Mama Babushka the vampire going through. All about her and her dogs.
Mama Babushka.
Her and her dogs.
That's dude, you love those dogs.
Oh yeah, dogs.
I remember seeing his list last year, and it was just like dogs strewn about everywhere, screening everything.
Exactly. They don't do damage, but you know what? You have to chew through it. I'll be over here doing
the objective, getting my battle tactics.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. So you kind of touched on artifacts. Are there any other notable artifacts that you take with lists that you play, or at a general level that are just good at any list?
So with like Virko, every subfaction has their own 3 artifacts and 3 command traits for every faction.
Okay, so let's start with command traits then. So let's say, what's your favorite dynasty to play right now?
My favorite is the Virkos dynasty. I love dogs.
Yeah, you love the dogs. So talk me through some of the command traits or the command traits that you like to use in that list.
Yeah, so Virkos, the artifacts that it has, and one of the things that's unique about the Virkos dynasty, it actually allows you to take artifacts and command traits and give them to named heroes.
Oh, so unique named characters.
Yep, they can take all the stuff too.
Oh, that seems fair.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, so like what kind of command traits would you take then, and who would you pair them with? We'll kind of start dabbling in some of the units.
One of the big command traits that you'll find with that is whoever has the command trait. I don't know the name of it, but I know the effect of it. One of the command trait
we'll figure it out.
is that they count as their wounds for taking objectives.
Oh.
So that normal vampire lord, now he counts as 6 people for taking objective.
Because he's a 6-wound hero.
He's a 6-wound hero. Or my favorite is, one of my favorite units is Radakar the Beast.
I remember Radakar.
Yep, he's just a giant dog man werewolf thing.
He's not a werewolf, but he's dog man.
Yep. And he's 12 wounds. So
he counts for 12 on an objective?
Now he's 12 on an objective.
Does that count even if he's already taken wounds? It's just whatever their wound characteristic
whatever
is?
Their characteristic is.
That's really good.
Or if you want to go out there, you can do the Vampire Dragon, and he's 16.
Yes.
Now he's not 5. Now he's trying to go toe-to-toe with giants, trying to take that objective.
So you can literally put it. It's not limited to small foot heroes. It can be a vampire lord on.
Yep, and it can even be named too.
Oh my goodness. That's awesome. That sounds really. Is that the one that you would normally run?
That's the one that I would usually run for that.
Are there any other notable command traits, whether in that dynasty or across other dynasties, that you like to see?
The only other notable one is that there's a command trait that gives an aura to reroll charges, which is always good.
Always good. Yeah. Very evergreen.
Exactly. It's universally good. It's a 9-inch aura. It's good to take.
Okay.
So it's just if you want a list that gets in there fast, go ahead and take that. If you want a list that just wants to stay on an objective while your zombies hold them off, you got another one.
Awesome. And what about the artifacts? So you said every dynasty has 3 command traits, 3 artifacts.
Yeah.
Run me through some of the artifacts that you like to use, or that you think are talking about evergreen artifacts.
So for Virkos Dynasty, the artifact you're going to take every time. No matter what.
We love the must takes.
Yeah, it's the must take. All the other ones are okay. Like they do minor things, but it's I think it's like the Grave Sand Phylactery. And all it is it's just it's like either a 9 or a 12-inch aura. And it just makes all those summonable zombies, instead of having a 6-up ward, they have a 5-up ward.
Oh, nice. Because it's a death army, so everybody has a 6-up ward.
The entire army has a ward, but now those guys are really annoying to get rid of, and they heal. Now they have a 5-up ward.
So you can't even kill them to begin with, let alone. Oh my goodness.
Those zombies, no, they're just a tar pit for you.
There. Do you feel like the gameplay that you lean towards is the tar pit kind of gameplay?
I don't like having a lot of models on the field.
Okay.
I'm actually the exact opposite of
So you're running minimal units, but utilized effectively.
Exactly. I'll have, I think the most I've ever won is 20 zombies. Just one pack of 20 zombies.
And
that's a tar pit on itself.
Christopher, are you taking notes? Are you listening? Yeah, he turns away as soon as he says that. He has 80 zombies, like 40.
I got 80 zombies and I think 40 skeletons and 40 graveguard or something.
And you know what? That's very good.
It's very good. I've never beat it.
But as it goes, as we were talking, you don't have to run hordes for things.
Yeah.
Like, one of my favorite tactics is, as you've seen, I like to run a lot of units of dogs, just dire wolves.
Yep.
And just 5.
Which are cool models, by the way. Love their sculpts.
Models. And they're screens.
Yep.
Soulblight's the best at screening just
It is,
things.
because your screen doesn't actually die.
Yeah. Oh, did you kill it? It comes back later.
Yeah. Yeah, no, we were playing last year, and it was just like you take all the dogs, and they're in units of 5, so they can get strung out really far. So you just got them nose to tail in a big line, blocking every objective on the map. And I'm like, I don't know how you did that. It's super fun to watch.
But yeah, that's the Virkos dynasty, and that's probably my favorite.
Are there any others that are? Would you say that's the most beginner-friendly dynasty, or does that require a little more tactical genius?
If you like having lots of models on the field, I think that's the one that a lot of people are going to like.
So Virkos Dynasty is the one that you want to use if you like a lot of models.
Yeah,
But I've heard you say you run that dynasty and you don't take a lot of models.
Yes.
Where's the disconnect?
The entire Virkos dynasty runs off of having the not dragons or anything and having the smaller heroes.
Okay.
And like the Virkos dynasty has like 6 named heroes.
Okay, so you're just running named heroes with enhancements.
Yeah. And besides just buffing the small guys, their big thing is that if a hero attacks, then one of the summonable gets to attack as well. And so you do things like having Radikar attack, and then you have the dogs, or you have the Graveguard next to them attack as well.
Those things hit hard too, don't
Yes,
they?
they
Graveguard
do.
hit really. We'll talk about them later, but like, yeah, Graveguard hit real hard.
And so it works well with them having their heroes, and then also the things that they buff work in tandem with each other.
Nice. Do you feel like you're playing heroes following units around? Like you run everything in pairs, or do you find yourself more castle-y, more spread out?
The entire army runs off of all the basic units are okay by themselves, but they always shine whenever a hero is there to buff
Got
them.
it.
Like
So
a Vampire Lord giving +1 to attacks, Radikar giving +1 to attacks. I attack, you attack.
Nice. With +1 attacks.
With +1 attack, yes. The Corpse Cart gives zombies mortal wounds. So everything by themselves isn't amazing, but them paired with things makes everything so much better.
Do you find that is easy for you to kind of manage learning the army, or is that something that takes a little bit to get used to?
Everything has their own take. Like zombies, really easy. You take them, you
Put them on the
hopefully
objective.
Hopefully you have a tray and you just push them forward.
Christopher, are you taking notes? Hopefully you need a tray.
I need trays.
Oh,
Sorry,
when I played them, I had metal trays and I magnetized them all just to push everything forward. One of the biggest weaknesses of this army is the time it takes to move all of your models, because you have 160 zombies or you have 100 skeletons.
Yep.
It's the time to take just to move them all, or put them back because they just came back to life.
Yeah, they just came back alive. Yeah, I've definitely experienced that. I play Flesher Courts and I've run Horde, so the same thing where it's like I got old Flesher Courts, not new. But yeah, I was like, hey, I'm gonna run 60 to 80 Crypt Ghouls,
and then just they die and then they come back
and they die. Yeah, and it just takes the game's 4 hours long and half of it is movement phases. So I feel that.
But yeah, that's my favorite. That's the Virkos dynasty that they have.
Nice. So back to spells and like enhancements and things like that. Are spells limited to specific dynasties, or are spells more lores across the whole army?
Spells are not limited by dynasty. They're limited by, are you a vampire or are you a necromancer?
Okay.
The vampire spells are more geared to being more offensive. We have Vile Transference, which is a spell vampire does. It's I roll a number of dice equal to your wound characteristic. Every 6 is a mortal wound, and I heal that much.
Oh, cool. Vampire.
Yeah, we have. Oh man, there's a spell and it makes it so that I choose an opponent within 18 inches. If they go ahead and charge me, they take damage. Or another spell goes out. You cast a spell. If you rolled below a 10, I think it's a casting value of 6.
Yeah.
You choose 3 people on the map, and they take a damage.
Nice. What if you roll over a 10?
If you roll a 10 or higher, you take 6 people on the map, and they just take a damage.
Just dishing out little pricks here and there.
And there's no line of sight, nothing like that. You just do
no line of sight. It's just anywhere on the battlefield.
Anywhere on the map. You just
that's
deal a
nice.
little bit of damage.
Just a little bit. Did you heal on that too, or is that one?
No, that one doesn't heal.
Oh,
but
okay, that'd be crazy. It'd be ridiculous.
don't worry, they have enough healing on their own.
So, what kind of necromancer spells do you? Do you run a lot of necromancers?
Actually, no, I don't run necromancers. I play a lot of very aggressive things, and
Got it.
most of the time, all necromancer spells are debuff spells.
Gotcha.
And that requires your opponent to be next to you. And if I'm going over to you, I don't get that spell off in the first place.
Got it.
But
For someone who wants to play necromancers, what spells do you think are the go-tos?
even though I say it, they're great. Like,
They're still good spells.
They're still great spells.
It's just based on playstyle.
Yeah, like there's spells. So, I choose you. You have strike last. So now I'm going to surround you with 5 different units, and all of them get to attack, and then you get to attack.
Strike last is rough. That is always hard to deal with.
And then there's more like I'm going to lower your attack characteristic. I'm going to lower how much damage you do.
To a minimum of 1, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. Just making sure.
They still have that roll.
You always got to check. That's typically global, but you always get those weird one-offs that are like, why?
We don't have that yet.
Yet, yeah.
And there's stuff like lowering your make it so you can't run, make it so that you have -1 to wound. And so it's just a whole bunch of debuff to make sure that if you do get closer, there's a big something scary is coming up on the field, and make it so that they can't do their scary things before I can do my scary things.
Okay, that's awesome.
And that's generally how both of them play.
Okay, yeah. So basically, just kind of what's your play style? Where are you feeling like you want to be a little more offensive and more damage dealing? You're gonna go lean towards vampires, but if you're kind of wanting to be like make the game more difficult,
make a castle for your zombies to slowly move forward. If
You're
you
gonna
want to
run
get rid of
Necromancer.
us, I'm going to be debuffing you.
I'm gonna make
the
it as
entire
hard as
time.
possible the whole time.
Exactly.
Oh, that's really cool. That'd be really fun to play.
Yeah, very, very good on being able to just choose whatever one that you want to be able to do.
Now, does Soulblight Gravelords have any priests and prayers, or are they solely magic?
They are solely magic. They once had a priest named Nagash, but now he doesn't even believe in himself.
He doesn't. Poor Nagash. How much is he now? Like 860 points?
I love Daddy Death. He's great. He's
Great.
but he has way too many points.
He's a lot of points, and I still feel like he doesn't have a huge presence on the table outside of his physical size.
Exactly. I got a friend to play in LVO actually, Soulblight Gravelords with Nagash in it, and it did fairly well.
Oh, really? Do you think that's because people just don't run it competitively and no one knows how to play against it?
He was the only one that had Nagash in the entire tournament.
That's so funny.
And it's a lot of people just think that it's like, oh, he's either not that big of a deal or he's too much of a deal.
Yeah.
And as I was saying before, he was playing Legions of Blood, and he had that dragon.
Yep.
That has ethereal going through, and the dragon did all the damage, and Nagash just debuffed everybody.
Was just there. Yeah. He's a good support character.
He's a brilliant support character. That's more than your army. He's not supporting much.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not a lot left to support.
But he makes everything that's in your army fairly tanky.
Okay.
He just needs to lose about 200 points.
Yeah, 200. Yeah. So in terms of, we're gonna go back sticking with enhancements. Endless spells. You said you're very magic heavy. We're gonna skip the priest part because there's none. But endless. Does you have any?
They
endless
have
spells?
no endless spells.
None, really.
Nothing.
They don't have a single one. They just the
You
generic
used
ones?
to all in second edition be able to take all the death spells with Nagash, but they got rid of that.
Yeah, I
too.
remember they got rid of that in 3.0 because
They're the army itself is an army that has a lot of spell casting. Like all the almost all the vampires have spell casting. Necromancer has spell casting. Like 80% of their entire hero roster has spell casting, but it's only about one spell.
yeah.
Like the Mortarks have like 2 spells on them. Nagash has 8 spells.
That's Nagash.
Yeah, that's Nagash. He cheats.
He better. He knows all the lores, right? Well, depending on what army he's playing.
He
in.
knows the lore that he's in, which means he knows 6 of the spells.
Okay.
But because they only know one spell, they're not extremely magic heavy. Like you very rarely will see someone that's their entire focus is going to be spells that deal all their damage or things. All the spells are a tertiary or a secondary thing where they
Not
help,
where your focus is.
but they don't. They're not the main focus of the army.
Oh, okay. That's awesome. Mount traits. We talked about the vampire lord on zombie dragon.
Yes.
That is the unit. I have a zombie dragon in Fleshier Courts, but I don't have a vampire lord on it. Does that come with any mount traits, or are there any other monsters that you run mount traits with?
So there's no mount traits in the army either.
Really?
What they decided to do is they made all of their like things that would be mount traits or anything like that, things that would upgrade all things as heroic actions.
Oh, okay.
And
That's
again,
really nice.
Yeah, and again we go to every single one of the dynasties have like a different heroic
set
actions.
of heroic actions.
Or monstrous actions for that one. One of the dynasties, Avangori, they are based off of monsters. They're the ones that are, hey, your dragon without a guy, he's battle line. The Terrorgeist, he's battle line.
Nice.
And they're the ones that specialize in monsters, and they have monsters actions that are being able to deal damage to models and being able to heal from that.
Yeah.
There's another one where there's a monster action where if they're close to another monster that dies, they get immediately act, which is it's a weird set of circumstances where you're trying to plan for someone to die, but if you do it,
if you can pull it off, that's great.
exactly.
So, talked about mount traits, prayers. We've gone through most of the enhancements. As we go into like list building and creating a list, we obviously have to talk about grand strategies and battle tactics. So, what kind of grand strategies are you running with? Are those army wide, or are we talking dynasty specific again?
Thankfully, it's not not dynasty
All right,
wise.
cool. All right, cool. What kind of grand strategies is Soulblight working with?
There's two that are notable. One of them is it comes with their quote unquote terrain that they have.
Oh yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. So it goes off of this. Soulblight, their terrain isn't actually a terrain model that you put on. You choose 4 points on the field.
Okay.
2 in your zone, 2 anywhere. And those are grave sites where your guys can
Right.
come out of the grave, or you if one of your zombies heals in that area, they get an additional model back.
Oh, cool.
That's just for even more healing because they need that.
And so how do you go about placing your grave sites? What kind of, is it just anywhere I want at the beginning of the game? Do you place them in the middle of the game?
Beginning of the game, right when people are placing their terrain, you put 2 in your zone and you put 2 anywhere on the field.
Okay, so 2 in my territory, 2 anywhere else. And then you can just summon models from those at any point. Obviously, depending on rules, but
How the rules work is, and then once you start placing them, you start placing all your models going
yeah,
through.
of course.
And half of your units that are summonable can just be placed in a grave and put away.
Ah,
And then during your turn in your move phase, you can take them out and put them right next to a grave site.
any of the grave sites.
Any of the grave sites, 9 inches away from your opponent.
Okay, so an opponent could technically block the grave sites if they were
Yes.
sitting directly on top of it and spread out.
Yeah, because you have to be within 12 inches of a grave site to place something. So you have to have a big unit to be able to block.
Gotcha. Basically, if you're running mobs as well.
Exactly, and you have to circle around it because 9 inches is
Yeah, so it's a good one.
it's not as much as people would expect when you have a 12-inch disc.
Yeah, exactly. You're just slapping it down on the table. So, what is the grand strategy around those grave sites? You said that was a big one.
Yeah, one of the big ones is because you can place the grave sites wherever you want. The grand strategy is you need to control more grave sites than your opponent.
Oh,
So I place 2 of them in this back corner that will never see any play. If you don't think you're going to need it,
Yeah.
put it there, and you place. Technically, you can put all three in the corner, and then you're done.
okay. So, in terms of controlling, is it like controlling an objective? You need to spend 1 turn on it, and then you can just leave it.
Once you control it, you own it.
And okay, until someone else takes it.
Yes.
Okay.
So just like the objective, it's a little bit more housekeeping to be able to make sure you remember who controls what. But
Yeah. Just
same
treat it
as
like an objective. Yeah.
yep, same as an objective. And if you place correctly, it's pretty easy to make.
Yeah. It sounds like this army is very position oriented.
Oh,
at least the way that you play them, it's very much position, or location.
You have a
location.
whole bunch of chaff that's there to block and be able to halt your opponent, and so it's all about positioning.
Nice. What other grand strategies is that your go-to? Is that
That's usually my go-to. There's another one that's slightly riskier because
Okay.
it makes it so that your opponent needs to kill your own people.
okay?
But another one of the main abilities that Soulblight has is whenever one of my summonable, my zombies, my dogs dies during my turn and your turn, I have a chance on a roll of dice to be able to bring them back to life at half strength.
Oh, okay. So like Gits or
Yeah, it's like gets but better.
but
pretty
better.
much.
You don't have to do it at the shrine. You can do it at
any one of the grave sites that
Nice.
I placed all over the battlefield.
That's so cool.
And it's on during your turn. On a 4-up, I get something. On my turn, I get on a 3-up, I get something.
And the unit has to fully die before you can do that, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's
and that's the only thing it requires your opponent to do. And
so what's the grand strategy that's tied to that?
you need to do this 4 times.
4 times. Okay.
Yep.
So you got 4 summonable units at minimum. So that kind of guides the list that you would build in that particular army a specific way of I need at least 4 summonable units.
You need at
and
least
I need
4,
to kill
and
4.
they need to die in
I need
this
to
time.
somehow murder 4 of my own units and then resummon them on 4-ups.
Yep.
But
So-
you get 8. I mean, you get 10 chances to summon. So on a 4-up, that's good odds.
And there's heroes there's heroes that can do it, like a good old shovel man. There we go, Gorslav.
Gorslav.
Yep. His entire thing is during your turn, you can bring a zombie unit back.
Oh, So you get one of those for free. It doesn't say that it has to be on the roll. It's just as long as you bring back.
It's not a roll. It's just a zombie you bring back.
That's great.
There you go. That's one of your
down,
4 right
one
there.
down. Okay, good. So we got whenever grand strategies, battle tactics, the bread and butter of every army. Mm-hmm. What are we running with?
They have a lot of wonky ones that come through. Like one of them is one of my summonable people that is in combat. He needs to stay in combat.
Okay.
You know that tar pit that's
Single
there?
model or unit?
That unit.
Just okay.
And then my tar pit of zombies needs to stay in combat
stay in
with
combat. All right. How can you do that with your dogs too?
you. Yes. Oh, so one of the things that I love to do because I love dogs is zombies deal damage whenever they die. Dire wolves, they have a 6-inch pile-in when they come through.
Oh wow.
So what you can do is you could start in combat with someone and then go, okay, I'm going to retreat.
Yep.
And I'm going to stay within 6 inches of you. I'm going to wait until at the end of the combat when he's already fought. And I'm just going to
Pile
right
back in.
And so now you didn't have any way to combat me, and I'm
So the
in combat.
unit will be alive and be in combat.
There you go.
There you
There's
go.
my battle tactic.
More positioning.
All about
All
position.
about positioning. I feel like I'm sensing a trend here.
Another battle tactic that's great is I need to have one of my summonable units, my zombies, my dogs, my skeletons. I need them to die.
Oh, so we're back on pairing with that grand strategy. Just kill your own stuff.
Yep.
It's so fun.
Yep.
Here's like, I need this unit to die. I'm gonna recklessly charge it into Archeon.
Oh man, that pack of 2 zombies that are left fighting Archeon. Sorry, they're dead. You can stay there.
Can I do the opposite of all out defense? What's that? How do I do that? I'll roll that command point.
Another good one is having a summonable unit on 2 objectives not in your zone.
Summonable unit too, which depending on your gravesite placement could be pretty
You
easy.
If depending on what the battle scroll is,
yeah,
you could
that's
do that first turn. If they don't have anyone there, you have your graveyards. You just bring
Pop
them up.
and then
I own it.
so you have 3 pretty simple, straightforward battle tactics that barring something significant.
They're conditional,
Yeah.
but the conditions are usually there at least on like turn 2, 3, or 4.
Okay.
The one on the objective, if your opponent doesn't know anything or you got the right battle scroll, you do that turn 1. The last tactic that I really love is your vampires. If your general's a vampire and he's damaged, you need to heal him in combat this turn, which means that you just need to be in combat and you need to deal
at
damage.
least a damage.
You need to do a damage to someone.
Okay.
Or if it's not your general, you need 2 vampires to heal.
At least 2. And does that specifically say in combat, or does that say this turn?
They need to heal from their hunger ability, which is their ability that whenever they deal damage, they heal how much damage they did. Max of 6.
So spells are off the table for that one.
Yep. Can't heal from that. You have to deal it in combat.
Yep.
Which did your opponent do a spell and did 2 damage to your vampire lord on dragon? All right. My 14-inch movement needs to get to you, and I need to deal 1 damage
At
to
least
you.
1 damage, and then that's good. Okay. And that's assuming it's a general, otherwise you need to do it twice.
Yeah.
Still, a little more situational than the other ones, but still running vampires
Still
very
relatively
doable.
easily.
Yeah, and then you just got your normal core rulebook and GHB cleanup for the rest of the game.
Exactly.
That's super cool. That's awesome. That sounds like I feel like that's a bane of my existence when I'm playing the game. Is like, what battle tactic am I using right now?
Like they're not like automatically take objectives or anything.
No,
but
no.
It's a huge toolbox that you have.
Yeah, and I think that's the biggest thing is where I find with some armies that their toolbox is very limited. It's like they're so conditional. It's like do this, but also this at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Like
You have to do a
capture
hand-
2 objectives
You have to do a
while you are on
handstand
the
while your opponent's there.
yeah. So
You have
it's-
to have a flesh of your court. You have to have a court tier, serf, and a knight on an objective that you don't own.
dude. Yeah. So that sounds really refreshing for someone who doesn't like thinking about battle tactics too hard. Granted, like you said, they're conditional, but
Yeah. Am I in combat? All right, I could do this one.
Cool.
Am I damaged? Okay, I could do this one.
I can try that one out. Yeah. Let's talk. What are some of your favorite units? We haven't talked about any of the notable units. We talked about grand strategies. We've kind of built our army, but now we need to fill that list with what are we running with? What do you like to play? What are some things that are friendly to new players? And what are some things that you think are, speaking competitively, that you're like, these are your must takes?
One of my favorite units, especially when I first started playing with the new book, was Radikar the Beast. And
Yeah,
he's
you
the-
mentioned him earlier.
He's the big guy who's a vampire, werewolf, dog.
He's
dog
everything.
man. Exactly. And he's fairly straightforward where he wants to run forward, he wants to rush over to you, he wants to punch you, and he has a fairly decent melee profile to be able to damage you, and he is a lot more survivable than a lot of people think. Like, he's a 4-up save, 12 wounds, but he's super fast. And
Very fast. He's vampiric, so if he's dealing wounds, he's getting...
He's healing from it, and he naturally, whenever someone attacks him, a natural -1 to hit and wound against him.
Just at all times.
Just at all times.
Jeez.
Are you going to shoot him? Nope. He doesn't have the best save, but he heals, and it's hard to hit him in the first place.
He's got a 4-up ward, or if you're running him as... Well, you
has
could run him as general. You can make him a 5-up ward.
So you can't make heroes a 5-up ward. All the heroes would be 6-up. Only your chaff, your zombies.
Got it. Okay.
and all that
I
can you make a
misunderstood.
5-up.
But still, he's got the 6-up ward.
Exactly.
So that sounds great.
He's not hard to... He's not easy to kill.
Yeah. How does he combo with the rest? What other units that you would be like, if I'm taking Radikar, I'm taking Dire Wolves, I'm guessing? Or are there other units?
Always take Dire Wolves.
Always, yeah. Always be Dire Wolf.
My favorite unit of all time is Dire Wolves.
I picked up on that.
Yeah, they come in a packs of 10, 150 points. They're a battle line, so they can fit in any list. And they're not there at all for damage. They don't do damage at all.
Yeah.
They have one extremely weak melee profile. But what they do have is that they have a 10-inch move. You can run them, and they have that 6-inch pile-in. And so their entire point is to run forward, rush forward, and just screen your opponent off. And then they're 20 wounds at a 5-up save, a 6-up ward.
You got to chew through it.
You just tap, you pile in, you tap an opponent in, and now they're stuck in combat, fighting dogs that are going to be healing their entire time. Dogs aren't going to do anything back. They might nibble a toe or two, but...
They're not going to kill anything, but they're going to keep something locked up.
Exactly.
And if you're using it properly, you're going to keep them there for a turn or maybe 2.
They're going to keep Kragnos stuck fighting dogs uselessly, or they're going to keep a giant stuck in combat wailing the gatebreaker on some useless dogs that won't do anything.
That won't do anything. I mean, that's like, again, back to the positioning. It sounds like using these units in a cohesive way to kind of outmaneuver your opponent. 10-inch move.
Yeah, like they're fast. They have the shenanigans of piling
So
in.
I have a specific question with their pile-in shenanigans.
Okay.
Can they have a 10-inch move, you can run them, they have a 6-inch pile-in. If you were to run...
Yes,
and
you can still pile in.
You can still pile in without charging.
Yes.
So you can just run 16.
You just run 16.
Spend a command point, run 16.
If you want to get into combat, you can immediately just pile right in.
Or not if you don't choose to, if you're just blocking off like a runway.
Exactly.
That sounds really strong. I see why you like the wolves.
Oh,
the dogs.
They don't do damage, but man, do they work. But with the dire wolves, they just have with other units on the field, there's a lot of different specialties, like a grave guard. They're slow, but when they get in the combat, they usually can kill anything that's...
Do they deal a lot of mortals?
So they have 2 profiles. One's with a sword and shield. They're a little bit tankier, but the ones that I like to do, because they're there to do their job, is they have great swords.
Okay.
And a little bit harder to hit, but they do mortal wounds on wounds, and they do 2 damage each.
2 damage each and mortal wounds in addition?
Yes, in addition. So if they
Oh,
roll
my
6 to wound, they do a mortal wound in addition.
That's crazy.
And
they run in units of 10, I'm guessing, or I'm guessing you probably reinforce them.
You either run them in units of 10 or 20. That's usually the way to go.
And they're summonable?
Yes, they are summonable. So you can
just
pop them up anywhere. You heal them back up, all sorts of things.
That's awesome.
And then we go with everything combos with another, like a vampire lord, the basic foot soldier vampire lord. Their big thing is they take a summonable unit and they give +1 to the attack characteristic.
Oh, wow.
And so now that grave guard is now doing a lot more attacks.
Yeah, a lot more rolls.
Or the zombies now have 3 attacks instead of 2 attacks now.
Yeah, oh my goodness.
And
just
so-
the number of dice you get to roll with those kinds of horde units.
So like summonable, they are not the best unit overall, but you start putting a vampire lord next to them. Now they're doing a lot more damage.
It's
than
those
they
little
would be.
things that add up over time.
Exactly. It's all about adding the little things with them all. And then you combine them with all the minor like effects that go around. And just being able to do everything together. You can punch through or you can stay there alive. Another one of my favorite combos is the White King on Steed.
Okay.
He's a skeleton horseman. And his big thing is that he buffs the Black Knights, who are all about charging in. Normally in combat, they don't do much damage. But they have an impact charge where They roll number of dice equal to 2 times the models in their unit. Every 5 up is a mortal wound.
They'd roll a number of dice equal to double their unit size. Got
Yes.
it. I'm bad at math.
So if I
I'm
have-
rolling 100 dice, is what I'm hearing.
So they come in packs of 5s. So if I have 5 of them, I charge you. I roll 10 dice. Every 5 ups mortal.
Every
wound.
5 ups a mortal wound.
The White King
Is that the White King's ability that gives
That's
them that?
just
or
the
they have
Black
that by
Knight's one.
themselves? Okay.
The White King makes it so that if they're nearby, it turns into a 4-up does a mortal wound.
Oh, so 50% chance.
And
well,
so-
a little less than. but-
Yeah. And so you start doing that, and all right, then you start reinforcing the Black Knights. Now it's 10 of them. I roll 20 dice every 4 ups a mortal wound.
Wow.
And then you have one of my competitive ones is I had 2 packs of 10 Black Knights, and so just the White King would stay in the back, and both of them would charge, and I'm rolling 40 dice every 4 ups a mortal wound.
That's ridiculous.
And
I mean,
then-
that's great. That's awesome. So again, like you said, it's like making sure that you're comboing all your foot heroes or your regular heroes with a unit that otherwise might not be something to.
By themselves, they're not the greatest, but combine them with different things, they're great.
Awesome. Any other units that stand out to you that are?
Like the greatest thing about Soulblight is they have so many great heroes going through. Like we have Manfred from the Legion of Night. He's really good with maneuver placement. He has a damaging
His
spell.
teleport. I played somebody who was playing. He played Night Hunt, but I think he brought Manfred with.
Yeah,
probably- 'cause
He's
they can
cheap
ally
enough-
into each
He's
other.
cheap enough to be able to bring through, and like the new way he goes, the Legion Knight, he can teleport it as a heroic action.
Oh, it's this heroic action now.
Yeah, the new thing that he does is that if you redeploy him, he can instead charge you.
Oh, so if you choose to redeploy against him, he can charge you, or he can choose
If he redeploys, he can charge you
instead.
instead.
Oh, that's really cool.
And he has a natural. If he charges, he has first strike. So you can make it so you're during your opponent's turn, you can stop a tactic by going through. It's like, no, stop there. I attack you.
You can stop them from getting closer to an objective. You can stop them from getting
Pin
to a
them in
unit
place.
they want to.
It's all a positioning as
Yeah.
it goes through.
Yeah.
We have Neferata is another great one. She just has an aura of -1 to hit.
How big is that?
I think it's like 12 inches.
Oh, okay, pretty good.
And so if you attack anyone that's within that 12 inches, that's Legion of Blood, you have -1 to hit.
Nice one to hit.
She's a spellcaster. She does decent in combat. Her spell makes it so that she can make someone a ghost. So now they have ethereal
More
as well,
ethereal, yeah.
because you have to have more of that.
Yeah, you can't have enough ghosts.
Exactly.
Just play Night Hunt. That's all I'm hearing. No, I'm kidding.
Another one of my favorites from Virkos is Belladonna.
Yeah.
Mama Babushka, and she
Babushka.
her big thing is she has a damaging spell that if she kills someone, she turns you into a dog. So I get more direwolves to be able to put on the field.
Like just any model, or if once the full
If
unit
she-
dies?
If she kills a model, for every model she kills, I get a direwolf.
It's just a new unit.
And you know what? Did I do 1 damage? That means I get 1 direwolf who's in combat, about to die. That's a battle tactic, right?
There's a battle. That is a strat. That's like 10 levels of thinking to get that battle tactic.
And so there's just so many heroes and units that just they're just everywhere. I think there's like 17 heroes, something like that, just for
goodness.
it. So there's a lot of options.
Yeah, and that sounds like just somebody who you could build this army any kind of way you want. It sounds like it's what's your cup of tea? We got something for you. We can make it
5
work.
different dynasties, everything have its different specialties. Like you could go forever with.
Are they just
all
the
the
catch-all
different-
death army? They're just like, hey,
Pretty
just
much. There's
anybody
different
can
ways.
play it.
There's different ways to play. There's monsters only. Do you want to be hero hammer? Do you want to do only vampires? Do you want to be able to specialize in an army that does things during your opponent's turn?
that's really cool. So I'm somebody who's looking to get into Soulblight Gravelords. I know nothing about them. What are your high-level tips that you would give to someone who's thinking about starting Soulblight?
If you're starting Soulblight, I would probably choose either what faction, what dynasty you want to be through, because everything can be very. You're part of this dynasty. What do you want to do from there? Like again, if you're doing Virkos, you're going to be trying to do either summonable units, so you're going to want to get a number of those.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of things that you can, depending on what dynasty you're part of, makes battle line to be able to do. Like the Castelli dynasty, one that we didn't really talk about, it allows you to take Blood Knights. There we go. Blood
the
Knights
horses.
as battle line. Vampires on horses, the tanky guys, they allow you to do
They
that.
could be battle line.
There's one where it makes the Black Knights, the skeletons and horses battle line. There's ones that make a dire bats battle line to be able to do that. So it depends on do you
Dire
wanna-
wolves and dire bats.
Yes, dire wolves, dire bats.
Sign me up.
Y'all get all the giant pets.
Is there
That's all
dire
we need.
rats?
Sadly,
Dire
no.
cats.
Ooh,
I
maybe
wanna know.
later.
What do we got? I can just keep going. So any other tips for someone you want to find your play style before?
Yeah, find your playstyle before, because you can go rather elite in this and not have that many models at all. That's usually what I like to do. So there's different ways to be able to bounce things off of that for being able to play more elite, or do you want to play more horde? But the biggest thing is that it allows you to find what unit you want to play as and just make an army off of that.
Make it work.
I like playing direwolves, so I made armies that go off of direwolves. Do you like zombies? Well, there's entire sets for you to be able to make a list of just 100 zombies, make that work. You like skeletons? Well, guess what? There's multiple things that buff skeletons. Do you like having the giant dragons? Well, there's multiple ways to make them strong. So just find the unit that you like, and then from there's multiple ways to be able to make that unit strong.
Cool. Any other tips for someone just trying to get into it? Or you think that's a good starting point?
If we're going hordes, go with movement trays. Oh my gosh, I
Please
learned that
get
the
movement
hard.
trays.
I learned that the hard way.
For yourself and for your opponent.
Yes, it turns a game from a 3-hour slog into something more manageable.
It's something fun for everybody.
Yeah, because you don't want to be the person that sits there with 200 and be like, all right, 4 inches that way. All right. And then spend 20 minutes doing one movement. And then you're like, oh, I made a mistake.
Can I do it again?
Can I do it again? You don't want to be that person.
No, I don't want to be that guy because I'll say no every time.
End up just pushing them.
Exactly. You take the way I did it is I made magnet movement trays of like a 5-piece clouds, so
Yeah.
they're all coming in pieces of 5, and then you just push them
Just
all
shimmy it all.
forward,
There you
and
go.
it makes it so much easier.
Yeah, movement trays. All right. So if I am somebody who is wanting to face Soulblight Gravelords, I have a game this Friday at my local game store. I know they're playing Soulblight. What kind of things should I be looking out for to kind of take my opponent apart? I want to beat Soulblight. How am I doing that? Where your weaknesses lie?
So Soulblight it all revolves around the combos of things. If you see zombies in a corpse cart, you're going to want to get rid of the things that is easier to get rid of first, like the corpse cart. Once a corpse cart's gone, zombies lose a massive amount of their damage.
Okay.
They still can do damage, but it's now no longer oppressive levels.
Okay.
As well as if you're fighting a horde of zombies, the biggest thing is that it's a very big damage check I'm going through. You need to be able to blast through that amount of wounds. And yeah, they have healing, but during their turn, they'll be able to not heal a whole lot. And as soon as you start getting and chipping away to where a pack of 60 zombies is now a pack of 3 zombies, now they're just stuck there. And that's 450 points of theirs. And as long as you don't kill that pack of zombies, then they can't come back to life.
Oh, you can just retreat and leave them at 3.
For the most part, yeah, they'll heal like 3 or 4 every turn, but it's better than them coming back at a
30.
That is a 30 pack, yeah. Unless you believe that you have enough damage to be able to take that, because you can only be revived once. So
Yeah.
a pack of 60 becomes a pack of 30, and then they're gone. Now you don't have to worry about it anymore.
But it's still 90 wounds to chew through.
And it's 90 wounds to chew
It's a
through.
lot. So it sounds like knowing the combos, or more specifically, knowing what's making those things strong, or figuring out what makes those units strong, and kind of trying to focus those first.
Yeah, it's target priority.
Okay.
You want to be able to take out what's there, and if a lot of things that are Soulblight is very slow, and so they revolve around them either dying or coming out of the graves.
Got it.
And if they don't have one of those things, then they're looking at like a 4-inch movement. And everything that has a higher movement usually can't come back to life, or once they're dead, they're
dead.
Then once they're dead, they're dead, or they're not that big of a threat. Like dire bats, super fast, but they're 9 wounds, and
Yeah,
once
'cause
they're
units
once
of
they're
3.
dead, they'll come back at 2 wounds, and then they're gone. While on the opposite end, we have like skeletons, 30 wounds. They revive like crazy, but they have 4 inches of movement.
So they're taking if you can get to the objectives and control the map faster than they can,
Yeah, if
might
you
be in
can
a good spot.
if you can pin them down in one area, then they lose a lot of their potential. Or if you just maim them good enough where their potential just dwindles severely.
Cool. So we've covered a lot of the army right now. Are there any last things that you thought of that you want to go over before we close out?
It's a fun army with a massive model range. There's so many different things to be able to do with it, and just being able to have fun with different things. I've played like 3 or 4 different versions of this army going through. It's not what I'm currently doing competitively, but it's definitely one of those ones that I'll always be coming back to.
Nice. Awesome. Well, that has been Soulblight Gravelords. I want to thank Cameron for being with us with House of Hobbies.
Yeah.
Check him out. Check out their YouTube channel. It's going to be linked in the description. Also, make sure that you like, comment, subscribe on our video. Let us know what armies you want to see next. We're trying to get as many as we can. We're obviously bringing in more people so that they can help us out, because as much as I would love to learn, and Gabe and Chris would love to learn every army, it's a lot of undertaking. We'd rather get these out to you guys. So let us know if there's anybody you want us to reach out to try and get into these kind of videos.
Yeah, it was fun.
Awesome. Thank you so much.